Welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, and we're back. Seriously, genuinely back. This is not a bit. This is not a joke. This is genuinely, we are back podcasting. Thank you so much for all your support in the time that I've announced this. Thank you so much for all your positive comments, all your excitement, everything. I'm so glad that we actually are really getting to do this. So let me start by saying first, I think there's going to be an annoying buzzing to this podcast. I can't figure out why. I don't have the software to edit that. I'm not sure what that is. So you might just have an annoying buzzing. I will fix that at some point. It might not be right away, but eventually I will get to it. Second, let me give an update on the future of SYP, the podcast and such. Right now, my plan is to do 2 podcasts a week, an early week podcast and a later week podcast, whether that's like Tuesday and Friday, Tuesday, Sunday. I don't know. Right now, I think it's leaning towards Tuesday, Friday. I want to do an early week podcast and I want to do a later week podcast. So goal right now is to do 2 podcasts a week, which I think serves the demand, keeps me engaged. Goal is to go for probably an hour. Again, everybody knows me. I like to talk. I like to chit chat. I love to dilly dally, and might go longer than an hour. Might go less than an hour. Who knows? The benchmark is always an hour. Always. Straight up. So podcasts twice a week, might range from football to hockey to guests to stuff I want to talk about, whatever. Basically, that's the podcast plan for, I don't know, indefinitely until I come up with a better plan. But at least in my just talking with people, getting ideas, it's at least going to be twice a week. We're aiming for an hour. Should be good to go. I also am doing articles. In case you haven't checked it out, go check out my Substack. I will link it in the, I don't know what it's called, but in the body, in the, whatever the down below is for a podcast. I'm trying to think of what the proper term for it is. Not the caption. When you go into Spotify or Apple or whatever, and there's the recap, and you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I will link it there so you can read my Substack. My Substack is also the link on all of my social platforms right now. If you're not following any of my social platforms, you should. I am at Ian McNaughty on both Instagram and Twitter, or X, as Elon likes to call it. He's a dumbass and weirdo, and I don't really want to spend any more time talking about him. So Instagram, Twitter, at Ian McNaughty. Go follow me there. Go check out the Substack. Articles, I do at least 1 article a week right now. That's my football article, my column that I do every Thursday. I'm hoping to push that to 2 to 3 articles a week, depending on how much time I have and depending on how much I want to write. But definitely, you will be getting an NFL column, college football included. It's a football column every Thursday. So basically, whatever I don't get to in the pod, I will include in the article, and vice versa. Whatever I don't get to in the article, I will include in the podcast. I am also doing social media, again, for at SYP Pod. That's where you can find this on Instagram. That's also where you can find it on Twitter. Basically, getting back into the regular posting content, trying to get back into the swing of that. Honestly, I don't know what that's going to be like. I have an idea for content, but I have no idea. Even Instagram has changed so much in the 2 years that I've been doing this consistently. So I am curious to just get back into it and see how it goes. I have an idea for content, what a posting schedule looks like, all that sort of stuff. The Saturday selections are still going to be around. Posting about all of the podcasts and articles, all the organic stuff. That's what I try and thrive on. That's what I'm interested in. So I like to do do that as much as I can before I do anything else. I hope my mic is okay. So you can follow SYP on Instagram, on Twitter, at SYP Pod. Those are the two main platforms. I might get into TikTok. I don't know. I'm not big on the TikTok. It's not my personal favorite, but if somebody else wants to do the TikTok, we can talk about that. So yeah, that's kind of what SYP is going to look like for here on out, for at least the next little while. And by little while, I'm going to say for like the next 6 months. I think that's the goal. That's the plan. I have a schedule. I have a routine of things I want to do, of what I want to get done on a certain day. Like I want an article this day, podcast this day, what I'm posting on social this day. So I at least have a plan. I at least have a routine. But we'll see how much I can stick with it. I that's, please keep me honest. Please yell and scream at me to stay with it, to stick with it, because I know how much I do enjoy doing this. I just get caught up in other stuff, and I know how much you guys like it, and I want to make sure that everyone's enjoying it. And I don't want to just do it for, the sake of doing it. I want to make sure that we can all laugh and learn. I think that's the two biggest things that I am trying to, that's almost like the tagline, is to laugh and to learn. That's what SYP is for. That's why I guess I started Speak Your Piece, is because I'm someone who likes to inform people, even though I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I like to, I guess it's part of a journalistic integrity of like, hey, this is the journalist brain here. I watched this, I saw this, and I'm reporting it how I see it, and try and be as honest and factual as I can. And I can do it with real news, or I can do it with sports, but not real news. Like if I had to actually watch the debate the other night and follow that and actually provide real commentary on it, I couldn't. Not as a, unbiased journalist, which there's not really a thing like an unbiased journalist. Everybody has their own biases. We're people. That's just how it goes. But I can do it with sports because I'm passionate about it, and I'm more confident in that world than I am in, say, news or politics or whatever. So, to laugh and to learn. Basically, it's in my head, I have the idea of, hey, I want to inform you guys. Like, I want to talk later on. We're going to get into the Bills-Dolphins game that happened on Thursday night. We're going to do a little bit of a college football preview. We have some mailbag questions. But in talking about the Thursday night football game, in previewing the college football games, I want to be informative. I want to try and think critically, try and provide some substance of what I'm talking about. I don't want to just throw out hot takes and throw out opinions that are meaningless. I would like to provide some actual real, I don't know about juicy, but like, hey, this is actually a well-constructed thought, and share that with everybody else. At the same time, I like to have fun. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be enjoyable. I don't take myself that seriously. I take the work I do seriously. So, I'm happy to be, like Chris Farley. I'm happy to be, the butt of the joke. I'm happy to be that. I'm happy to, make fun of others to an extent. But as long as we're learning, as long as we're laughing, this is fun, everybody's enjoying this, that's what I want this to be. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Now that I've wasted 10 minutes talking about the future of SYP. Not wasted. That's the wrong word. Now that I've spent the last 10 minutes talking about SYP, let's talk about the Bills-Dolphins tonight. So this is the start of week 2. Bills-Dolphins in Miami. Hot one. Humid. I couldn't play in this game. I would have just faked a cramp after 2 plays and be like, nope, done, out of here. Doesn't matter if I'm a Dolphin or a Bill. I would have just faked an injury, left, go drink some fast twitch, and say goodbye, everybody. I think the biggest takeaway from this game has to be Tua leaving in the third quarter with another concussion. I remember 2 years ago when, he was the main focal point of the concussion issues surrounding the NFL. And I remember at the time being like, this dude needs to retire. This dude needs to go do something else. He was 24 years old at the time, still had a lot ahead of him. He didn't have to play football. There's a life outside of football, which I think so many people don't recognize or don't realize. We as fans see these athletes as athletes and then kind of forget 95% of them after they're done playing whatever sport they're playing. Tua came back. He missed most of the 2022 season as he was recovering from his concussions, and came back last year. He had a really good season, had a really good 2023. All went well. In that regard, didn't have an injury history, and then gets hit tonight. Not even really hit. It wasn't even a dangerous hit. He just runs into Damar Hamlin trying to get a first down late in the third quarter. And that was the end of his night. And there's not much you can say about Tua. And I get where he's trying to come from. He's trying to get the extra yardage. The Dolphins are down 14 points, 20 points, whatever it is at this point. Like, they're down quite a bit. He's trying to do everything he can to put them in a position to win, and he gets hurt. And that's what happens when you don't protect yourself and you don't put yourself in a safe position. Because if you watch the video and you see how he kind of falls, goes in for the hit, he doesn't really protect himself. And it's so unfortunate. So if I'm Tua, I really would consider retiring if I was Tua. He's already netted, at least $100 million just in his last contract signing. He's still 26. I would love to see him just step aside from football, focus on his health. Concussions are not a fun thing. They're not something you mess around with. You don't fuck with concussions. You don't fuck with brain health. That's shit you take seriously. And I hope Tua takes it seriously. I hope he really takes care of himself. And I hope he doesn't rush back into football for the sake of the team or the boys or any of those guys. Because it's just not necessary. What is necessary is looking after your health. What is necessary is making sure that your brain is functioning once you're not playing football anymore. I'm sure he's been told that. I think he has smart people surrounding him. But there's also people who, as we saw 2 years ago, when he, I think it was he got concussed on a Sunday, and then the Dolphins had to play on a Thursday night against Cincinnati, and he somehow came back for that game that he should never have played in the first place. I don't know that there's necessarily people in the Dolphins organization who are looking after him, who care for him. They just want to be the best team they can be. They're a business. They have to look out for their own interests. Sure, okay. But nobody wants this guy to die on the field. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen if he comes back and plays, any more football. There's a chance of somebody dying on the field on every play. Sure, absolutely. Every play has the same impact that a car crash has. Totally get it. But this is a person, and still a young man. I believe he's 26 years old. This is still a young guy who still has a big future ahead of himself, even if it's not playing football. And I wish there were times. I kind of was hoping there was more discourse about it online tonight, but that's online. It's in a way it's not really a real place. I wish there was more people looking after Tua, thinking of Tua, and I hope that his family is probably telling him to, get healthy and make his own decision, which I think is the right choice. But I hope there's somebody who's telling him to think about not playing football. You've already got the bag. You got more than enough money to live off of. And it's more than just winning a championship. It's more than just being a Super Bowl winner. This is about doing what's right for Tua. Putting Tua in a place to succeed that isn't on the football field. Being there for, family. I'm not sure if he is a father, but at least being there for the people who love him and care for him. That's, I think, a really important conversation to have, and I hope he's having it, and I hope people are making him think about that. Because I don't think the Miami Dolphins would, because that's not who the Miami Dolphins have shown at least 2 years ago, that they were not interested in this person's health. They were interested in getting him back on the field as soon as they can, so they had a chance to win on Thursday against Cincinnati. Maybe it's different. Maybe things have changed. I don't know. It sure didn't seem like it the last time, and I think history repeats itself in that sort of stuff. So, outside of that, I'm a little PO'd at Al Michaels during the end of the game. I turned it off with 2 minutes to go. A little bit PO'd with Al Michaels saying, statement game gets thrown around quite a bit. Statement game is a bit of a cliche, which that's the cliche I was going to use, you rat bastard. That was going to be my thing that I was going to tell people. But that's what it felt like on Thursday night. The Buffalo Bills went into hot Miami, humid Miami, sticky Miami for other reasons. Miami's known for being sticky, but not for those reasons, just because it was humid. And the Bills basically dominated from start to finish. The defense was incredible. Josh Allen looked really sharp. Khalil Shakir, I drafted him in 2 fantasy leagues this year. He's sitting on my bench in both of them. He had a solid night. The Bills are the team to beat in the AFC East. I have no doubt about that. The Bills are probably the second best team in the AFC behind Kansas City. We saw last week Kansas City, they dominated the Ravens. Not dominated, I should say, but they played a high level of football. That's what they looked really good. Baltimore looked really good. I think Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo are all in that same tier, and I think they are tremendous teams. Josh Allen, we would probably be talking about Josh Allen as the greatest quarterback of all time if Patrick Mahomes didn't exist. I'm not even joking. Josh Allen has one of the best arms of all time. He makes some of the most terrific plays off balance and off platform. He has incredible running ability. I love Josh Allen. He is the second best quarterback right now, and the only reason he's not being talked about as one of the best quarterbacks of all time is because Patrick Mahomes is in the same conference as him, same league as him at the same time, which is incredible to think. We are so lucky as fans to be able to watch this. But no, I was really impressed with the Bills. They look like a team that you don't want to mess with. They mean business. They are tired of being pushed around. They are tired of being shoved into a locker by the best teams, and they want to shove the best teams into a locker, and I love that. I am high on the. I was high on the Bills starting this year. I think I'm even higher on the Bills now after tonight's game. So the Bills look incredible. On the other end, the Miami Dolphins did not look incredible. We could talk about Tua's performance a bit. He struggled for most of the night before leaving with an injury. I took a few notes, not as much as I usually do for podcasts or as I have in the past, but Miami's offense just requires so much. How do I put this? Miami's offense requires perfect timing and perfect blocking. Not the blocks have to be perfect. It's just the fullback has to hit the linebacker at the right time. The wide receiver needs to, be ready for the ball when he's making his 5-step in. Like, all this stuff needs to happen for Miami to do well. And what's unfortunate is that if any of that stuff is off, if the block is not timed perfectly, if the receiver does not run his route perfectly, if the ball does not come out right on time like it should, then Miami struggles. They don't have an answer for it. And that might sound obvious. That might sound to be expected for a lot of people. But in watching the Dolphins play, and I haven't been the most avid Dolphins watcher, but just watching them tonight, of like, they need things to click, bang, 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 bang. And if it doesn't happen, if one thing doesn't go well, if the block doesn't get made, if the receiver isn't on time when the throw is being made, then they can't function, they can't succeed. They are not a team that, compared to their opponents tonight, the Buffalo Bills, they do not work well off platform. They do not work well off balance. The Bills are incredible at it, and that's why the Bills are going to win a Super Bowl at some point. They are going to be a contender in January and February this season and maybe for the next few years. The Miami Dolphins are not, because they require such perfection. They require so many, like, the dominoes have to fall right, bang, 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 all the time. And if they don't, they fall behind and they struggle. And this was the night where they were on their home field. The weather was, for all intents and purposes, in Miami's favor. It wasn't a snowy 35-degree Fahrenheit day. It was like a 90-degree humid evening in Miami. Like, not Buffalo Bills weather at all. Yet, anytime Miami got out of rhythm, were out of sync, they fell behind. They did not have an answer. That's what makes the Miami Dolphins, frauds. They're not contenders. They are pretenders. They are in the... Obviously, the Tua thing throws a bit of a wrench in it, because who knows how long Tua's out for. But even if Tua was healthy, let's say Tua was healthy and he comes back tomorrow and nothing happened tonight, I wouldn't take Miami over Houston. I don't know that I would take Miami over the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a well-coached team, even in the first year of Harbaugh. I like what they offer more than what Miami offers. I probably wouldn't take Miami over the Bengals, even if Burrow is not 100% either. I don't know. Miami is 2 steps away. They are not even in the same tier as Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. I don't know that people were arguing that in the first place, but they are not winning a playoff game in January, even if Tua is healthy, even if Tua is the best version of him. I don't see this team being healthy and contending enough. They were down to the 3rd left guard tonight. Their first one was already missing tonight's game. The second one got injured during the game. Then they were down to their 3rd left guard. I don't see this working out for Miami. I don't know that there's anybody to blame right now, coaching-wise, because I think they do some really good stuff. Like, they do some excellent stuff, especially running the ball. Just tremendous stuff. So I don't know if anybody's going to get fired. They might have to look at another quarterback at some point, but we'll see how Tua's doing again. It's only week 2. I don't want to jump to too many conclusions, even though I probably have. But, yeah, I think the Dolphins are frauds, and they're not winning a division. They're not winning a playoff game. Simple as that. So there you go. There's my Bills-Dolphins recap for the night. Stick around. We'll be back We're gonna preview some college football this weekend. All right, welcome back. I didn't have a sponsor in there. I might need to get a sponsor. If anybody wants to sponsor, please sponsor it. I just took a break so I could get some water and pull up my notes for the college football games this weekend, or at least a few of the games I'm interested in. I don't know how many people listening to this are going to care about college football. I care about college football, so people are going to be interested that I'm talking about it. In case you missed it, Thursday night, really fun game. Arizona State 31, Texas State 28. That's a really fun game. For all you sickos tomorrow, Friday, really fun games with UNLV at Kansas, which might sound like a better college basketball game, but still, the sickos will like that game. And then number 20 Arizona at number 14 Kansas State. So I don't know why all the football games are in Kansas Friday night. That doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. I didn't create the schedule, so what do I care? Most exciting game for me this weekend, personally, it's the Apple Cup. It's Washington taking on Washington State, at Lumen Field. It is not at a campus stadium. It is at the Seahawks Stadium. It's the first Apple Cup at Lumen Field since 2011. Washington won that one 38-21. Basically, it was at Lumen that year in 2011 because they were doing renovations at Husky Stadium. The reason it is at Lumen this year is because Washington is now a Big Ten school, la-di-fucking-da, and there's now, new agreements, and now this is a non-conference game, even though they're literally within the same state. Whatever. I just think it's bullshit. This is not a fucking Big Ten country. This is... whatever. I shouldn't be, criticizing too much. Washington has won the last two Apple Cups, including the one that I went to last year. 24-21 over Wazoo. Last second field goal at Husky Stadium. That was a fun, rocking 70,000 people. It was awesome. I loved every minute of it. I don't know how it'll be this year with the game being at Lumen. I talked a little bit about it in my Substack this week. Basically, the atmosphere is not going to be the same. That's what's cool about rivalry games like this, is when they're at a campus and the school gets to have that experience of hosting the big rivalry game. Vice versa, the opposing school gets to travel to the rival school, and the band gets to go, all this sort of stuff. Wazoo, they're coming off a massive 31-16 win against Texas Tech at home last week. That's a huge win. Their quarterback, John Mateer, he struggled a little bit, 9 for 19, 115 yards. He had a touchdown, interception, and a sack. Not great. We'll see how Wazoo does. They, both teams are on new quarterbacks. Cam Ward was Wazoo's quarterback in the game last year. He's now at Miami. He's killing it so far through the first few weeks of the season. He's probably going to get drafted in the first round. I didn't know if he. I didn't think he was going to. I thought he would get drafted last year if he declared for the draft. Now he's playing his way into a first round, spot. Betting on yourself. Kudos to Cam Ward. He, again, former Wazoo quarterback. In last year's game, Michael Penix Jr. was the UW quarterback. He's now backing up in Atlanta. He's backing up Kirk Cousins. So, two new quarterbacks. The new quarterback for Washington this year is Will Rogers. He's the former Mississippi State quarterback. He's coming off a 261-yard, 4-touchdown performance against Eastern Michigan at home. Washington's kind of had I don't want to say a bit of a cakewalk, because Wazoo played Portland State at home, and then they played Texas Tech last week. Washington played Weber State, which is not a real school. It's an NPC school. And they played Eastern Michigan, which barely a school, maybe. It's at least it has a state. Weber's not a state. Michigan's a state. Should be exciting. Should be a fun game. I'm also bitter that it's on Peacock, which is a streaming-only service in the States. This game should be on at a network. It should be. There's no reason for it not to be. So, a little peeved about that, but it's out of my hands. This is what college football is now. I have to learn to like it, I guess. I don't. Whatever. I'm taking Wazoo to beat Washington 28-24. Go Cougs. I hope they don't Coug it. I hope it's exciting and it's interesting. And I don't think it's going to be a sellout. Looking at Ticketmaster and how many tickets are available, it still looks kind of empty. So maybe there's 40,000, 50,000 people going. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a late rush. It's also weird because it's not a traditional weekend for the Apple Cup. It's supposed to be typically on American Thanksgiving weekend, which is like the last week in November. Now it's in the middle of September. Like last year, it was cool. It was like, I think it got up to the 60s, but like it was cool by the time you left. So like that was nice. I don't know. We'll see how it goes for both teams and both schools. I got Wazoo winning. That's my Apple Cup prediction. Let's talk about the Civil War game. That's the name of the rivalry between Oregon and Oregon State. Basically, the home team has won the last 4 games. Oregon State winning the last 2 in Corvallis, which is where this game is located. Oregon's coming off an electric Saturday night game. They played Boise State, won 37-34 on a last-second field goal themselves. With the Pac-12 now, I guess, kind of coming back, but it's like dead this year. I think a Peacock, honestly, if they wanted to do like Peacock After Dark instead of Pac-12 After Dark, that would be cool. I'd love that. Something needs to fill that void, and if a Peacock game can do that, that's great. I know San Diego State's playing Cal Saturday night. That could also be interesting. But this game is, I think, on it like this game and the Apple Cup are on at the same time, which is stupid. Like, I don't know, whatever. Fuck off, Yan. Key to Oregon this weekend will be giving their quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, time to throw. You watched last week, you watched the highlights, you watched the key plays. Gabriel had plenty of time to throw the ball, to make the right read, to get it there on time. It sounds simple. We'll see if Oregon can actually execute it. The fascinating connection in this game, Oregon State's defensive coordinator, Keith Hayward, he was formerly the assistant head coach, co-defensive coordinator, and safeties coach at Oregon. He had some other roles before that, but he was basically an assistant head coach from 2019 to 2020. So, curious to see. Obviously, Oregon is not the same. You know, they've made changes since then, so it's not like he's going to be able to, you know, pass out cards and be like, hey, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing. There's obviously quite a bit of study and quite a bit of film watching to, you know, get your success. So I'm curious how Oregon State's defense slows down Oregon's offense. The Ducks have not been great. I think their first game was against Idaho, and they won 21-3. They looked sloppy against Idaho. They looked like they were trying to throw away the game against Boise State in the fourth quarter last week, managed to hold on to win. You know, a lot of people had playoff aspirations for Oregon, which isn't unrealistic. In a 12-team playoff, Oregon should be able to get in. They should be able to be one of the 12 best teams in college football. They have not looked like it so far. They are holding their ground. They are middling. They're holding their ground when I think people want them to be up here and kick butt against Idaho and Boise State. The works. So I'm taking Oregon State in an upset, 30-27. It's at home. It's at Corvallis. This is a bit of a grudge match considering how all the Pac-12 realignment has gone. Oregon and Washington are now in the Big Ten. Wazoo and Oregon State are still in the Pac-12. I don't have time to get into the bitterness of it all, but this is a grudge match. This is personal, and I think Oregon State will make it very personal. They come away with the upset, and the Beavers shock a playoff contender, let's say, in Corvallis. I'm rooting for Oregon State. I'm rooting for the underdog. I'm pro Pac-12. I'm anti Big Ten right now. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Other big games, Alabama goes to Wisconsin, number 4 Alabama. Alabama should win that. They are the better team. They're ranked fourth in the country. I know there's some concerns with how Alabama played last week with South Florida. I think that game was a one-score game for Alabama in the late third, early fourth quarter. Alabama needs that win. Alabama can't go to Wisconsin and lose. So, Wisconsin will put up a bit of a fight, but I like Bama to win. College game day is going to Columbia, South Carolina. LSU is taking on South Carolina. That's a really fun one. If you love an early morning SEC game, LSU should win that. I think South Carolina can pull off an upset, though. It's typically in games like that where there isn't the expectation placed on you. There's the excitement because you have College game day, Lee Corso, Herb Street, Pat McAfee. They're all going to be there. That's cool. It's big for the city for the week. There's a little extra meaning to it. There's a little extra oomph to that game. Compared to just, any other year where LSU gets to go to South Carolina, la-di-da-di-da. No, this has a bit of meaning for South Carolina. I'll take South Carolina in the upset. Who cares? Kind of a weird one. This is a matchup of two top 25 teams, 24 Boston College at Missouri. Missouri is number 6 in the country. I don't think they're that good. I think they're good. I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're going to be number 6 by the end of the season. I don't know that Boston College is going to be 24th by the end of the season either. Boston College had a really fun upset. I don't know about an upset, but they beat Florida State. They were probably the better team almost 2 weeks ago now. So that's it's a non-conference game. I don't know. It's on the SEC network. It feels like it should be on a bigger network, but maybe it's just degens like me who are interested in it. I talked about Oregon State, Ball State at Miami. Miami's looking like a really good team. They have some pretty fun early season wins. Miami's a team that you should be looking out for. Tulane, Oklahoma, that's probably going to be a blowout. I would think Oklahoma's probably going to win that significantly. Like, it's not even going to be close, but, maybe Tulane, it makes it interesting for a quarter and a half. Notre Dame at Purdue, number 18, Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off a really brutal Northern Illinois loss at home. Notre Dame's schedule is kind of weak. They have 3 neutral site games this year. They take on Georgia Tech. They take on Georgia Tech in Atlanta. They play Navy, Army. They play somebody at MetLife this year, and then they play, I think it's Army at Yankee Stadium. Like, they're playing 2 games in the New York metro area for some reason. I don't understand why. Notre Dame needs this win. If Notre Dame doesn't beat Purdue in Purdue on Saturday, it's over for Notre Dame. Utah State. Utah's number 12 in the country. You always like to mention the in-state rivals going head-to-head, so that'll be fun for those in the state of Utah, in the TAW. I don't know if that's a thing. I might have just made that up. Georgia, Kentucky is the primetime game on ABC. Georgia should run away with that. I don't see Kentucky, Mark Stoops, making that game interesting whatsoever. Could be wrong, but Georgia's really fucking good. They've won 2 of the last 3 national championships. Kentucky's a basketball school. I don't think that's going to be a close one. Rice and Houston. They're close physically. I think they're like 15 miles away from one another. Is that right? 15 minutes? I don't know. They're both in the Houston area. That'll be a fun one as well. And then the equivalent of Pac-12 after dark, San Diego State, California. So all fun games. A fun slate of college football. College football's fun. I like college football. We'll see how much I get to see this weekend. Who knows? go watch. If you get the opportunity to watch college football, you're missing out if you're not watching it. All right, so there we go. We got one more segment. We're gonna do a mailbag here. We're gonna take a quick break first, and then we're gonna get into the mailbag. So stick around. Don't go anywhere yet. All right, welcome back. The cool thing about bringing the podcast back is finding out that like I can't record on Zoom anymore because I'm not paying for it. So basically, I'm just recording off my camera, off my Chromecast. So, I like my Chromecast. It's my laptop. It's fine. It basically does all the basic stuff that I've needed for like the last 2 years. But now I probably need to get a more high-tech laptop. So again, there's a plan. Everything's coming together. Improvements will be made. Progress will be made. Yeah, it's going to be way better at some point than it was before. That's basically what I have to say about that. All right. For those who sent in a question, thank you very much. This is the SYP Mailbag. I basically asked on the SYP Pod Instagram stories if you got any NFL, college football, general questions for the mailbag. Send them to us, and you guys did. We got some good questions, so thank you. Cheers. Appreciate it. For those who are wondering, by the way, Heineken, beer of choice. I don't think I'm gonna name people who send us in, but somebody did ask about the Kelseys and like talking about how Taylor, people who are butthurt about Taylor Swift being shown 2 times during opening night. I think I've had this conversation before. I think I've chatted about it. I feel like my feelings are pretty open about this. I don't have a problem with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I will say, I do think the networks are getting better on dealing with it and the whole situation. Because I felt like early on the cameras were just Taylor happy, like showing her every time they could. Now I think there's at least a better understanding of how it plays into the story of the game. There is a story with Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. Like that's a story. You're it's not like you're not going to show Taylor Swift, right? Like if you didn't show Taylor Swift in a 3-hour broadcast of a Chiefs game, if you didn't show her at least once, you would be fired because you're not doing your job. That's a story. There's a storyline there. I think there's enough times to talk, there's enough times to show Taylor Swift in a 3-hour broadcast. Like, I don't have any problem with that. I think the people who do have a problem with it don't have anything better going on in their life. Like, there are so many other things to complain about or, rant and rave on besides that. Go complain about literally anything else. I don't care that you didn't like that Taylor Swift was shown twice on the broadcast. If, back when it first started, she was shown like 10 or 12 times, yeah, that's probably a little too much. Probably don't need to show her that many times, but there's enough times there's enough time in a 3-hour broadcast to go to Taylor Swift 2 or 3 times. Don't have a problem with that whatsoever. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. It feels, how would I put this? I don't want to say it's almost like pro wrestling, because pro wrestling is going through like the relationship stuff now, like WWE with like Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Like there's the relationship aspect of it there, but like I don't know. I just feels like people are complaining about shit that nobody get. Like, who cares? Why does anybody care? Like, go spend your time literally doing anything else. If you don't like it, go turn it off. Watch something else. Thoughts on Caleb Williams? Okay, Caleb Williams did not have a great game Sunday against the Titans. I can admit that. Was not stellar. I don't know what his stats were, but he was not great. I think everybody will admit that. I'm pretty sure I saw, was it Robert Mays who tweeted, Robert Mays of the Athletic Football Show? I'm pretty sure Robert Mays tweeted like, the Bears won 24-17, and they, all the touchdowns were scored on defensive special teams. That's Chicago Bears football. That's essentially Chicago Bears football. That's the Bears football I know. I'm not even a Bears fan. I just know it's Brian Urlacher, kicking ass on defense. It's Rex Grossman making enough passes during a game, and I'm like Matt Forte running the ball for 100 yards. That's essentially how the Bears win. Like, they don't win because of a strong aerial attack. No, they never have. I think the goal is that Caleb Williams can be that and can do that. I think he will. I love Caleb. I think he is perfect for Chicago and perfect for the Bears. Like, for all the failures that the other guys, the Mitch Trubiskys, the Justin Fields, all those guys, for all those failures that they had, Caleb's at least a personality. He'll embrace it. He understands the pressure of being a first overall pick and playing for an organization that they have high expectations. They have high expectations. They love a winner, and I can't remember where I was making this point, but I was making this point a while back. I can't remember if it was writing or podcasting of like, yeah, if you can go be like, if you're the Super Bowl winning quarterback, if you're the superstar quarterback, maybe even Hall of Famer, like going way down the road. Let's say you're the Hall of Fame quarterback for the Chicago Bears, they're gonna build a statue of you. Like, that's a legacy thing. Like, this is the opportunity that Caleb has, and I think he recognizes that, and I don't think he wants to waste it. And I don't think one game against the Tennessee Titans, sure, they still won, but, like, I don't think one poor performance is ruining any of that. Like, I don't think that's who this guy is. I don't think that's what this offense is. Granted, I think somebody's not healthy on this offense, and I can't remember who it is. I think it's Keenan Allen. It's not health. No, Rumadonze. I think I'm saying his name right. He's getting an MRI. Basically, they're already dealing with injuries, but like I still think the team's good. I think Williams is good. Shane Waldron, former Seahawks offensive coordinator, he's now the offensive coordinator for the Bears. I think he's fine. I think he's good for Williams. That's a pretty solid offensive coordinator for your rookie year. I like Caleb Williams. I think he's fine. I'm not too worried about him. Again, it's coming off of week 1. Dude will be fine. Final question. Not football related, it's more of a general one. What's the most important thing you learned between the end of old SYP and now? I think for myself, it's putting myself out there more. Like, I've made more connections. I've, made new friends, and I want to be able to tell more stories, I think, and get more people involved, and show more diverse kind of experiences. Not that I think we didn't do that before, but I think it was kind of limited because I was hesitant. I didn't have that same confidence about myself. I think getting back into this and what I want it to be and how I view myself, I think I'm confident now of putting myself out there and believing in myself, and let's go do it, let's go kick ass at it. I'll be honest, I don't have the best tools for the job right now. Like, I probably need to get a new laptop. I got my mics packed away in one of my boxes. I don't have the most beautiful studio, as you can tell. I am doing this in my living room. And that's okay, and that's fine. That'll come. Like, all the extra stuff will come. I just know at the heart of it, people support me, and people like me. I guess people like me, as egotistical and as like weird as that sounds. I guess people like me, and if I just put stuff out there, people will like it, people will enjoy it, people will come back and listen to it. Like, I don't know how many times in trying to do this and trying to bring this back, people are like, oh, let's go, I'm stoked. Like, that's what I appreciate. And I guess this is really something I've learned, but just, you got to keep going, you got to keep fighting, you got to keep doing it. Like, don't give up, just keep going, keep pushing. I don't know if there, I think the one thing I've learned is just to be confident in myself. That's, I guess, the biggest thing, is just be confident in myself, what I'm doing. I believe me, I have a lot of self-doubt. Nobody's harder on me than me. Like, that's just a fact. But it's having that, perseverance, that positivity, that self-belief that I can do this, I am capable, and it's not going to, be successful, not successful. I'm not going to make money off it. I would love to eventually make a career out of this. I think that would be really cool, but it's not going to happen overnight. I'm only 24. There's still a lot of time left. I still have a lot to, to learn and to grow and to do. So, this is one podcast out of, I don't know how many I got coming down the pipe for everybody, but like, I'm so just stoked to be back and doing this, and, doing what I think I should be doing what I think is right for me and best for me. And I mean, the biggest reason I started doing all this is like, it's just because I didn't want to annoy people. I didn't want to annoy my friends or annoy my parents and chatting about sports. So like, I'll put in a podcast, I'll put it in an article. I mean, that's where this all came from. And that's probably where it's going to, the inspiration is going to keep coming from. But again, just, I'm going to have the belief in myself and the confidence in myself that I am capable, I can do it. I am, I don't want to say I'm the guy, but like, I can be the guy. I can be a guy. I can do this. I am someone that people care about and are interested and want to support, which is, I wouldn't be doing this without the support of others. Like, genuinely, like, again, I've said it multiple times, but the amount of people who have commented like, oh, congrats, man, or like, bring it back, or like, can't wait for the next episode. Like, that's what I love. I appreciate that. And, there's so much more to come. I can't wait. The new SYP. I don't know what to call this one, if this is 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. I don't know what to call it. The SYP Renaissance. I don't know. We'll find a name for it at some point. But yeah, it just feels great to be back and doing this, and I'm really stoked for it. I am so excited to do this again. So that's all I got for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Your support is greatly appreciated, as always. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I got to check the YouTube channel, make sure that the YouTube channel still works, it's still good to go. You can follow the SYP, follow Speak Your Piece on Instagram and Twitter at SYP Pod. You can follow myself, Ian McNaughton, at Ian McNaughty on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll be back, I think we'll be back Tuesday. So I think the plan is to record a Monday for a Tuesday drop. So expect a new pod Tuesday. So enjoy your Friday, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for putting up with me for an hour, and we'll do it again Tuesday. Peace out. Have a good night, and have a great day, whenever you listen to this. And we'll talk again soon. Peace.